I'd like to tribute this podcast to Wendy Golden, the last girlfriend of Danny Casoalro, who had shown immense courage in coming forward after it took many years for me to find her to give this interview about her knowledge and experiences of being the last girlfriend of Danny Casoalro, and her testimony that she was never interviewed by the Martinsburg Police, the FBI, or the US Department of Justice investigation into the death of Danny Casoalro that they ruled was a simple suicide. Sadly, Wendy passed away this year in 2022 from illness, and so I'd like to tribute this podcast to her for showing the courage to come forward and to provide the evidence as she tried to assist me to the best of her ability to help us reopen the investigation into the death of Danny Casoalro to assist his son, Trey Casoalro.
Did you actually, with time now and an opportunity to think about it, do you remember being interviewed by James Ridgway? He did a little article on, it's called The Last Day of Danny Casoalro.
I remember being interviewed by somebody, but I don't remember.
Their name, yeah.
I don't, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've only been interviewed once in my life, so I do remember that.
Yeah, and
But
I
don't remember where.
Yeah. Did he do it in person?
I don't know if it was on the phone.
Or on the phone. Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember. Because at that point I was 26, so I must have lived in, God, where did I live?
Herndon?
I don't even know. I never lived in Herndon. I lived in Reston.
Weston? Okay.
But I never lived in Herndon. I don't know what address that would be. Herndon's right next to Reston.
Yeah, that's probably.
But it was never an address.
Okay. Yep. No.
Oh God, I wish I could think, Peter. I mean,
yeah.
For the life of me, I just remember doing an interview.
Excellent.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know how.
Yeah. It would have been, he did the interview in, I think it would have been October. So Danny died in August. So this is about 2 months later.
2 months later. I was 26. God, I don't even know where I was working at 26.
It says here, because I've got the police report. They never interviewed you. They just had your name, details, saying that you had known Danny for about 4 weeks, and that you were working as a waitress in a restaurant in Herndon.
In Herndon. Yes, I worked in Fairfax as a waitress.
And the only way I could find you is that they've written down the number, which let me just go back. I'll go to the. There it is. There's the report. It's just got Wendy Golden 703-758-1966 home number.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So that's Reston, Virginia.
Western Virginia.
I lived in a condo on Ivy Stone Court.
Oh, good, excellent. Because that's how I was.
Okay.
It took me years to. It took me all this time, probably 5 years, to find you, just by chance.
Oh shoot! And I wish I had more to say.
Yeah. Oh no, that's okay.
That's the shame.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Because what I'm looking for is the human element of Danny and what people can remember. I mean, in your opinion, he seemed to be a happy person. He seemed to be focused. He didn't come across as depressed on a mission to go down and commit suicide in Martinsburg. That doesn't sort of make sense to you. Yep.
No, more like going out for a bottle of wine.
Yeah, that's what we would have thought.
Yeah.
From all the interviews we've done.
Yes.
Because he comes across
that
as
would have been
he was a
most likely
happy person. People liked him, and highly focused. I mean, I've got all of his notes. I have volumes and volumes of his personal notes that I've been going through for all of his investigations. And, this guy either didn't sleep and it just kept working and highly focused. putting relationships together, following things up, and calling people. He was forever calling people, that he wanted to interview.
Wow. God, he was a great guy. But now, just to hear more of what you're saying, it's like, damn, he really was doing something.
Yes, he was. He was on to one of the best stories. It would have won him an award because
Oh,
because it was a true story.
right. And nobody can protect themselves from, as far as he got in depth, you know?
The things that he was investigating and the people he was meeting, the people who were calling him at his home, were the most powerful people in the USA.
Right.
And
And you still cannot be protected.
that's correct. Not in Virginia.
Yeah.
It's the heartland. It's the heartland and CIA territory. So he was really like a lamb being led to slaughter because what evidence he had, they knew he had it. So he was deemed as a national threat to them. Not a threat to the country, not a threat to the real government, just a threat to the people who
Right.
do the wrong
Who
thing.
did the bad things.
That's correct, yes.
Oh my God, I bet Trey is just loving you to pieces for letting the world know that what we saw wasn't true.
That's correct, yes. And Trey had a terrible motorbike accident and very serious head damage as well. He has a plate in his head, but which is impacted him severely. And we know from the evidence of
Oh
what we've
no.
got is that, but he's quite lucid. He's talking really well to me. I speak to him. He speaks to me. He's really, really straight on the ball with this. He really wants to have it. And I think Danny, without a doubt, there's no way known Danny would be going down to commit suicide, write a suicide note, and leave his son behind, with nothing. It's just not something that he would do, from what I can see.
Right. Oh no.
Yeah. So when did you find out? Like, that article I was reading to you. It says here that he was due to meet you on the Sunday before, but you ended up being invited across. It says here uh, um, was that she had stood him up for a more exotic date. The cousin of Emir of Kuwait had whisked her away on a 2-week party along the east coast. So he was due to meet you the week before on the Sunday, and before he goes down to Martinsburg. You're away for 2 weeks, it says here, and while you're away, that's when he would have died, and then you would come back. And then how did you find out that Danny died? Was it the
I'm trying to
newspapers?
remember that right now. And it must have been just friends,
Yeah.
I would think, because I didn't really read the paper back then.
Yes.
I didn't get the newspaper delivered.
Yep.
And I don't read the obituary, so I would definitely say no to the paper, unless
Yes.
it was on TV.
Yes.
If it was on TV, I would have seen it on TV.
Yeah, it's probably a chance it could have been on TV.
And
I think there might have been a news story on TV because they were.
I would 99% say TV.
Yeah. Yep.
Because, and then I'm trying to think. There was, what was his name? Al Kuwait, something. He was from Kuwait.
That was Robert Booth Nichols. Robert Booth Nichols was coming from Kuwait. Oh, this one says the cousin of Emir, that you were invited to a party with the cousin of Emir of Kuwait.
Yes. And I'm trying to remember his name. I can't remember his name, but I wasn't gone 2 weeks.
Yep.
I'd never be gone 2 weeks. But I guess I was. I mean, I do remember him because his name was like 20 Husan. So yes, I was out of town, and he was, I don't know, king cousin. I mean, not the king, but something like that.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yes.
And I did live in Reston.
Yep.
And I'm sure I found out about it on the news because nobody else knew Danny that I knew.
Yes. Yep.
And now I'm trying to remember where I met him. Did I meet him at a bar? I must have been a bar. Where else would I meet him?
Yeah. There's two things, and this is coincidence. It just is. The guy that's coming in to meet Danny, who was dangerous, came from Kuwait. had flown in to see Danny.
Oh, really?
Yes. The man that Danny was meeting regularly for weeks, 4 weeks before he went to Martinsburg and was dangerous, flew immediately from Kuwait to meet Danny. And then somehow you've been able to meet the cousin to the Emir of Kuwait by chance and been invited away
Right.
to go to a party. It's as almost someone was trying to
Correct.
engineer to get you out so that Danny's alone for the weekend that he's going to Martinsburg. But if we can reopen Danny's case, clear his name, and have the files unsealed, and confirm that Danny should have won an award. He was actually an amazing investigator. And I'd like to do this
Right.
for his son,
No.
and for his son as well, because he lost his dad, and he's gone through hell. There's no way Danny would let his son down. No way.
No.
All right.
No, but I mean, he was, he was tenacious, on his work, on his stuff, whatever he does.
Danny is one of the.
So if you're so tenacious that way,
yeah,
you can't not be that way in a parent.
This is the hardest thing.
No, that just went over my head.
No, but what I'm saying is this stuff that Danny was investigating was so complex, and I look at all his notes, volumes of it. He was amazing. He could keep it all together. I can just keep it together myself because I can see the complexity of it and understand it. But he was good. Without a doubt, he was absolutely good, and he almost exposed it, and that's why I think they killed him. So the good news is the people that were the nasty ones that came in to see him are all dead. Okay?
Okay, good.
Good on you. Thank you very much. And have time to think about that more. I'll get you the picture. Anything more you can remember about the Watergate and anything else that you can recall. What's amazing is how he came into your circle to ensure that you weren't there on that week, because I'm sure Danny wanted to spend time with you, because and wanted you to meet with Robert Booth Nichols. But I don't think Robert Booth Nichols wanted you to witness him. He didn't want to be seen.
Right, and we had just met, so it's not like we've known each other for years.
Yes, that's right. So what I'm saying to you is that this man coming in would have done all his research. Who is Danny? Who's in Danny's life? Who's he dating?
Right.
Who's he seeing? He would have done all his research before he arrived. Okay.
Peter, where did Danny live? I can't remember. I remember the bedroom. I can remember the bed is high that you had to jump up.
Yeah.
What was Danny's address?
I think it was Fairfax. And let me.
Okay. Yep.
I'll send that to you. Okay. His address.
Okay, because I worked as a hostess at a restaurant in Fairfax.
Okay. All right.
At PJ Skidoo, so that was another one. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't remember what his house looked like.
Yep.
But I remember his bedroom because you had to jump to get up on the bed. and that's when he handed me the book.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first book. I was like, oh, how cool. And we were having the wine, and he had his gravity boots on. Not on the doorway.
He apparently he had files everywhere, all over the floor, near the air conditioner. He had everything. When Ben Mason and Danny's brother raced straight across, everything was gone. As soon as they found out that he was dead, they drove immediately to Danny's house, and all his files were gone.
Oh, well, that right there. Hello, investigator, FBI.
Yes.
I don't know who dropped the ball. Then that's common sense.
It is. And also, his briefcase was missing from his hotel room with all of his documents that he went down with, and all the documents he has in his car. His son told us he always kept 2 piles of documents on the back seat. People always thought that there were 2 children sitting in the back seat when he drove around. That's how high they were. So the complete house was cleaned out, and also his car. And the briefcase that he took.
Oh, and that's not like him. He wasn't a neat person. He's not anal like I am.
No. He basically all his notes had gone. Okay.
Oh, wow.
and they ruled a suicide.
And they didn't have any security cameras at the motel?
They should have. They should have
I mean,
also.
back then we even had security.
Yes, and that's a good point. And waitresses, cleaners at the hotel, remember seeing an olive complexion man
Which would be Kuwait.
coming out of his room.
Oh, there you go.
I know.
Oh, wow.
And I'm pretty sure I'll send you the pictures, but I'm pretty sure the Emir, cousin of the Emir, passed away too many years ago. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I'll look forward to it, Peter, and I'm definitely, we'll stay in touch no matter what.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk to my sister.
Yeah.
It might take her a few days because until you mention some things,
Yeah.
like I would have never told you. Hey, guess what? One time I met this really rich guy from Kuwait. I thought he was a prince, but he wasn't.
Yes.
But still, you know,
Yeah.
I would have never just said that for no reason.
Yeah. And Wendy, if I was the detective, it's the first thing I would have done is interviewed. They had your number. They didn't call you.
You would interview the person he was seeing.
Yes. Don't you agree? The last.
I mean,
person
even
that-
for pillow talk.
Yeah.
I remember he said he was working on a book, but I mean, he didn't tell me what kind. I mean, he just wrote another book. He showed me, right?
Yep.
You know, I don't think anything. He's not telling me anything. He's just like, I'm working on a book. I'm like, cool.
Yes.
And he's going somewhere. I'm like, cool.
Yes.
And I don't recall having any other girls around us when we were together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
No.
a group of friends.
No. And
Wow,
we
this
know.
is getting more and more interesting.
I thought so too. It's the fact that your sister gets invited and you get dumped.
Yeah.
So
I still can't figure that one out.
yes. So he's shown an interest in your family. What's good is that you did remember
But no.
you had to climb over stuff to get onto and sat on the bed, and that's when he showed you his book, and you remember it was something to do with an animal.
Yes.
Which is great.
And
So-
I remember the house being like he was very casual, cargo shorts, I want to say. I think
yeah,
khaki cargo shorts.
yeah,
And his house was, you know, I mean, he definitely didn't have money. He wasn't a player. He was
No.
just a really charming, nice guy.
yeah. And that probably is what
And-
attracted you to him at that time, you know, because he was supposed to be regarded by all his friends as just a really nice guy, genuine.
Right, and his car, if I remember, was old like his house.
Yes, it was. It was an
And
old
I don't-
car.
Yeah, because I remember there was papers in the back seat of that.
Yes, I'm glad you said that because his son said the same. He said that his dad always had papers stacked on the back seat, and when he drove down the road, people thought they were two little children sitting in the back seat, but it wasn't. It was the piles of paper in his research
Oh
files
my God.
which were in the back of the car. Yeah, and so you remember that.
I wonder why
in the back
Yes.
of his car. Yeah.
And I was trying to remember what kind of car. I just remember being old, and I'm thinking it's got to be a four-door because how would the papers? He wouldn't have thrown them over the front. I said it had to have been a four-door, but it was like an old, I don't know, old Toyota,
Yes.
old Civic. It was an old car.
It was old, yes. I thought it might have been a Datsun, just like yourself. It
okay.
might have been an old Datsun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it was old and ratty, and there's nothing about him screamed anything. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. He was just an ordinary guy, and not flush with money, and working really hard as an investigative journalist.
Now, here's my only thing I can't figure out. Why wouldn't he make copies and put them somewhere?
He did.
From all.
He did.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Because I was thinking about that. I'm like, because I remember him talking. He was kind of, how do you say, clandestine?
Fine. Yes, that's it. Yeah.
When he was talking about the octopus. And I
Yes.
wish I could tell you exactly where he said he was going. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But he was kind of like, you know, a little cloak and dagger about it. And
Yes.
I don't know, kind of
Yeah.
like, what's that movie Harrison Ford does?
Present Danger? Is it Present Danger? Or
No, but you know what I mean.
Raiders of Lost Ark, that sort of stuff? No?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
It was kind
yeah.
of that way that night. And see, I remember that night as vivid as can be.
Right.
And I know we did not sleep together that night for sure.
Yes.
But I just don't remember anything else.
Yep. So
because
that
we talked and talked and talked.
now he was supposed to from James's interview, which was fresh at the time. I think he was planning to catch up with you on the Sunday before he left to go to Martinsburg on the Thursday. And
yes, and that's what you told me.
Yep.
And so that's when I was like, you know what? Whatever I said to Ridgway was word for word. So if I was supposed to meet him,
yes,
and I told Ridgway that, then that's definitely, because why would I say, oh yeah, I was going to see him?
Yes. And so apparently it says that he waited like a romantic. He had a rose or something on the table waiting for you, and that's when he realised that you were staying at a party. It says at a party, a 2-week party with the cousin to the Emir of Kuwait. So you were away at the time. It was either Watergate or it was off to Florida.
Gotcha, which my sister did, 100%. We went to Florida.
That's correct, yes.
Even though I keep saying I didn't,
yeah,
she said I didn't go to North Carolina, but I did go to Florida.
You did go to Florida, so you may have got that invitation to go down to Florida, and it makes good sense. Okay.
And I was with my sister the whole time in Florida, so it's not like they were going to fly me back.
And it would be sensible for you, if you're meeting strangers, that you'd be with your sister, because that gives you a bit more protection for you guys to stay together. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Very good. I'm just looking down here. Anything else? It's good that you remember that there were papers on the back seat. That's really good, because that's consistent with
yes, because that's how I remember the car being old. Because I'm like, it's like a little old lady. You know, they've got all their, you know, the little hoarders that drive by.
Yes.
And then, like I said, in the bedroom, he had a bookcase. He had papers everywhere. There was manila folders. There weren't colored ones. They were manila.
Manila folders.
And his bedspread was a dark color. I don't know if it was maroon, blue, but very dark.
How did you feel when I was able to identify? I cut the picture out, didn't tell you the guy's title, but he was the Prime Minister of Kuwait.
Oh, now or then?
Then.
He was a cousin then, right?
No, he was cousin.
And now he...
No, at the time he was the Prime Minister. He was...
I just remember Al-Sabah, and I thought it was 3 times repetitive.
Yeah, it could be. But that would be in terms of what he could put on the side of the boat, you know, so that you can see it.
Yeah.
But that's the royal family's name. The royal family of Kuwait.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes, that's why I thought I'd tell you.
Or...
Yeah.
But when you sent that picture, I'm like, oh my God, I can remember that.
Yes, that's correct.
That guy.
That guy.
I mean, he even looks rude. He looks nasty.
He is.
You know.
There's a picture of him with George Bush, sitting with George Bush, and he looks crazy. he does. He looks like a crazy man. Yeah.
Well, now when I saw that picture and I was telling my sister, she's like, "How can we be that stupid?" I'm like, "I know." You know, and nobody would know if they just like hacked our head off and dropped us in the ocean.
Yes.
Right? I don't think we told my mom and dad that, hey, we're hopping on a private plane with some people from another country.
Yes.
I'm sure we just left and, I don't know.
Yep.
We didn't live with my parents, so we very...
Yeah. When you flew out by private plane, do you know what airport you took off from and where you landed? Can you remember?
No, but I do know that the boat show's in Fort Lauderdale, so I would assume it's a private airstrip at Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
Now, there's 2. In Fort Lauderdale, there's one called Signature, because we have it in D.C.
Yes.
Signature.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they have that at the private airstrip at Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
And in Washington, D.C., at Dulles, we have Signature. And they were staying at the Watergate, so we would have flown out of Reagan National.
Yes.
Now, I've never seen, but I mean, I know there for a fact is a private somewhere at Reagan National too.
Yes.
You know, with all the senators coming in and out.
Yes.
But Signature happens to be a very big, famous one.
Right. Okay. Very
so
good.
I would say 95% it's Signature private airline or private air, whatever you call it.
Yes.
Because here in Boca, I have Boca Aviation and I have Signature.
Right. Okay. So the odds would be that you probably went to Watergate to meet him there, and then they would have flown straight from out of Washington straight in to Florida.
Yeah, it would have been Reagan National.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because there's no way they would drive to Dulles. That's
Yeah.
26 miles away.
Yes.
So it was definitely Reagan National, and my sister said it was definitely private.
Yep.
And I don't remember, and she said she doesn't remember ever having a car sent for us. So I would have valeted, I would have driven my Honda to the Watergate, valeted it like I did.
Yes.
He always gave me money to tip the guy, when I would leave.
Yes.
So I did not ever have a car pick me up, so I couldn't have met him at the airport.
Yes.
We would have had to have gone with them.
In maybe a limousine or across to the airport with his security people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the airport's not that far from Watergate.
Mm.
You could probably see it if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Because Watergate is right on the water.
Yes. And I think you mentioned that he had a couple of rooms reserved. There was his room and also the ones for the security guards.
Well, yeah, because the suite, I remember his room. I remember the dining room. I remember the wraparound balcony.
Yep.
But I don't remember seeing a bunch of other rooms for all these bodyguards.
Yes.
So that was an assumption that I think would be probably true.
All right. And you sort of recall seeing about maybe 4 bodyguards he would have had with him at all times.
Yes. And my sister, let me see what she said. She said, oh, yeah, there was like 3 or 4 for sure.
Yes.
Until we got to Florida, 2 new ones showed up.
Yep.
Now, I don't think they were bodyguards. She said 2 new guys showed up.
2 new ones
and,
showed up at the
they were the one that grabbed her. So they were not bodyguards because they wouldn't have done that.
All right. And were they? Did you during your time, if you can recall, he would have had Arab bodyguards that came with him because he's the Prime Minister of Kuwait. Was there ever any Western?
Mm-hmm.
Was there any Western people that ever appeared to be with him?
No, never.
Okay.
No, and I would know that for sure because I would have talked to him.
Yes.
Because the bodyguards weren't very nice, except for the one cute one.
The one cute.
He'd always kind of like give me a little wink.
Yes.
There was one really nice looking, and he would smile and give me a wink, but the other ones might as well just been stone faced. And they don't like I'm friendly. I'm like hi.
Yeah.
They don't say hi. They don't give a shit.
Respond. Yeah.
Yeah. So they didn't care about me. But if you're an American, you would have been like, oh, where do you live?
Yes.
You would have said something to me.
Yeah, you would have.
I'm having dinner with you and everybody else.
Yes, that's.
Or even when the cousin left to go, I don't know, to the bathroom or something, he could have been like, oh, so how long have you lived here?
Yep.
He would have said something if he was American, and I would have said, oh, he was a fat, ugly American, or he was cute.
Yes.
I just remember all foreigners and one good-looking one.
Yes. No.
And that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's
because then... Oh, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you, Peter. I just get so excited because I'm like, I keep hearing things.
I won't interrupt you. You go ahead.
But my sister would have said something because we wouldn't have been that scared if there was some American.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, kind of?
Yeah, I do.
She would have said, remember that one guy, he helped us?
Yeah.
But none of that. It was she said all foreigners, and then the 2 new Kuwaiti guys showed up.
Yeah.
So there was never American, just us 2 girls.
Yep.
And I never brought any other friends over, she said.
Okay.
It wasn't like, hey, get your girls, let's all go. They weren't like that. Or they didn't ask me. Maybe they got their own.
Alone. Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Do you remember being on board the private plane? You've caught a private plane. So
no.
You don't remember that either.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, hello.
Yeah.
He wasn't a prince, but let's just say prince in my mind because it's like, oh my God, he's from Kuwait, blah, blah, blah. He's got a yacht, he's got a boat, he's got this.
Yeah, and a private
And
plane.
I don't remember any of that.
Mm.
And I'm just like, how the hell? My sister's like, Wendy, I'd say that something's wrong with you, but I was there, so I'm telling you exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I still don't believe it. She goes, well, maybe you just blocked it out of your mind. Maybe something bad happened. I don't know.
I was thinking the same, is that sometimes psychologically, if something bad did happen, you don't want to remember it, you just block it out. Psychologically, your brain just lets it all go and just blocks it out.
I'm going with that theory because, again, like I said, neither one of my sisters, neither one of us have ever done drugs. We drank,
yes.
And I smoked cigarettes.
Yes.
So I would remember a freaking yacht,
Yes.
a private plane,
Yes.
and I remember wearing heels all the time back then,
Yes.
but I don't remember nothing.
Yes. And that it could be that because they know that you like to drink, that you like a drink, champagne, and they would have been spoiled. They could have drugged yourself, possibly, and your sister at some time. That it allows you not to remember.
Well, that could be one thought. One thought too, either me not liking something that happened, I just blocked it out,
That's correct.
or them doing the drinking thing. Because my sister did say that, I to this day I still drink more than she does. I can have 3 glasses, she'll have a half.
Yeah. Yes.
But she said that she didn't want to be hanging around. But he's like, you're going to be my personal assistant, and you will be the bank girl, and so that is your title.
Yeah.
And we will go to the bank. And that's how she's like, okay, I'll do that. Because she didn't want him thinking, just like that other new Kuwait guy on the yacht.
Yeah.
Was like, So she did say that. She goes, I was his personal assistant, and I carried all the money.
Yep.
I was like, oh, why didn't I get to do that job? She goes, I don't know. I have no idea.
Remember the book you were talking about? I think that was called The Ice King. That was his first published book.
Yes, that's it.
That's it, yes. Yes.
That was the one.
Yes. So
okay. So I was like, now see, if somebody says something, then I'm like, oh, yeah. But I couldn't have told you that for $1 million.
Yeah, I had to look it up after, because I interviewed Danny's son, Trey, who's quite, all grown up now. And I speak to him almost every 2 weeks. He's really pleased that I'm trying to get the book done, and for his father and that. And he told me all about the first book that his dad had written, and he told me the story that Danny went down straight after uni, I think, or after his studies, and did some mountain climbing down in South America, and that's when inspired him to write the book, and it was called The Ice King. And he told me it was a history of him finding hidden treasure. The story's about a climber that finds hidden treasure, 2 of them trying to climb up a mountain, and it's starting to weigh them down, and they have to make a decision. Are they going to die because, the weight's just too much on their back, or do they let the treasure go? And he says that in the end they had to let the treasure go, that in order to get out alive, and so the treasure's lost forever.
Right.
Yeah, so he said that was his dad's first book. He remembers reading it when he was a kid,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and Trey is really, really wanting us to investigate as much as we can about his father, and, particularly the work that he did, and still does not believe until today that his dad committed suicide.
No, and you know what? After I hung up with you, I got online because I was like, shit, it's been so long ago, I can't remember anything.
Yes.
But I remember what he looked like. And so, of course, a picture came up. There's a few pictures that came up. One was too young. I didn't know.
Yes.
I wouldn't have recognized him. But then the one with the fuller blonde hair and a fuller face, I recognized.
Yes.
But when I was reading it, it said that there was 10 slashes on each wrist.
Yes.
How could you live if you did that 10 times? I mean, I would think the first 3, I'm dead.
Yes.
Let alone doing both arms.
Yes. We have...
And so my husband's like,
yeah.
Do you remember that? And I'm like, no, I don't. I said, I remember they said he committed suicide and cut his wrist, but I would assume that means 1 or 2, not 10.
Yes. No.
We never got that much information.
Oh, okay. I have what we have been given in trust for nearly 18 years is the complete coroner's report, the complete investigations by the detectives, and then there was a full congressional hearing and investigation by the US Department of Justice with FBI, and we have all those reports as well. And yes, it's sad, but I do have all the pictures, and it's right through the tendons down to the bone for the first hand, and then the same for the second. And the obvious question is, if you cut through the tendons, you can't use your second wrist to cut the second hand, and to do it 10 times. So we know without a doubt that he was embalmed within 24 hours without the family knowing, and that's usually the sign that someone's trying to cover up. They pictured it as being a suicide, and it was clearly foul play.
Right. And the FBI never found anything?
Well, this is the part that's really amazing. I've got the official reports and all their interviews, and they've circled names, they've interviewed key people, and that's when I found your name there with the police, with your home telephone number in Herndon, and then I found the article from James Ridgway, which was interviewing yourself just in terms of the last days, and being one of the people that were closest to him, but you were away on the weekend that he actually died. And so I think the police never called you, but we have the numbers of all the people that he called in the last week, speaking for hours to them before going down to Martinsburg. And we tracked them down. It took me 10 years to find them and identify them.
Wow.
And it's one of the most senior FBI agents that he was talking to for an hour and a half. And he never got a call from the police.
The FBI agent?
That's right. And the other person was a senior Department of Justice official, and he spoke for an hour. Several days before, Danny went down. The police circled the numbers, indicating that this is an hour call, this is an hour and a half call. And I interviewed them, and both of them have said they never received a telephone call from the detectives who were investigating it. And that,
oh, wow.
And that
so we always thought there was some kind of cover-up.
Yes, there is. There is. And we've also got all the numbers of all the people who were calling the coroner and the nurse that that was involved. They were trying to stop the body from being embalmed, but it would actually happen within 24 hours. And she has written down.
Really?
Yeah, she has written down categorically that 3 people and their numbers calling, concerned that Danny was investigating something quite dangerous, and that he was on his way down to meet with some informers that were going to meet with him. And they believe that he's been murdered, and they were very upset that found out that the body had been embalmed without the consent of the family. And when I contacted those people, they were not contacted by the police either. So that's why we've been investigating for close to 18 years. Trey believes that. I don't know if you know Danny's other friends. There was Ben Mason, who was a very close friend of Danny. He believes that he was murdered, and he's been helping us as well. And Trey, and then also other friends, even officials within government. We've interviewed them all, and the senior officials who are working with the FBI, grand juries, have told us categorically that they believe he was murdered, and they never got a call from the detectives investigating it.
Oh, wow. Where are the investigators now in West Virginia?
Yes, they are. They're in Martinsburg, and the key detective who was investigating is now the deputy chief. So we've made requests to get the official FOI, under FOI, Freedom of Information, access to the reports. They're saying that they've been sealed, which is really strange.
They've been sealed?
Yes.
I was going to say, why would they be sealed?
You hit it on the head. It's the obvious question. Why would they be sealed if it's just a suicide?
Right.
So we are getting closer. Danny also called key investigators to major inquiries in Congress the weeks before, and they also have serious concerns. So that's what our book is about. We've gone through the whole processes. I know what Danny was investigating in Australia. I know it intimately. Probably one of the most experienced and experts in this area. So we know he was investigating. He wanted to go to Australia. Like that article from James Ridgway says that he wanted to go to Mexico, he wanted to go to Paris, he wanted to go down to through Laos, and then he wanted to go to Australia because he was following the trail of the money that had been paid for arms and also money laundering operations for the story that he was working on. The good news now, Wendy, is the key people who were involved and being exposed by Danny have all passed away. You know, it's now it's quite safe. So the most important thing is Danny was a very good investigator, absolutely astounding investigator.
Right.
More important than that, we know the names of the people that he was going down to meet. We know why he was going to meet them. We know what evidence that he had. And so my efforts, and a co-writer with me, he's a Canadian TV producer as well, very experienced in this area, him and I have been doing it for 18 years, is that both of us believe that when we publish that the case should be reopened. They need to go back, look at it,
of course.
look
Yes.
at it, and more important, that it clears his name, because they tried to paint him as if he was depressed, and the police report and the FBI, the Department of Justice report, categorically is painted a picture that he was so depressed that he decided to go down to Martinsburg so he could commit suicide. And
why would you drive to another state?
yes, that's correct. And why would he spend several hours for his last cause to a senior detective within FBI and a senior official within the Department of Justice? Wouldn't you spend time with your son, you know, and your family, you know,
Right.
you know, and your friends, rather than wasting time doing that before you drive down? So we know that. We also have the testimony of one of the key chief of police, and was working on a federal bureau's grand jury in Washington. Danny had called him to arrange to meet with him at a restaurant on the following weekend.
Oh, wow.
And that's only days before he travels down.
Right, yeah, and you just don't do all that. I mean, it's still common sense.
It isn't it? And when he heard, he said it's definitely murder.
Right, because I was supposed to be with them, correct?
Yes.
I'm
yes.
just remembering what you read.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember it myself.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds even scarier.
Yes.
And now this guy from Kuwait. Now they had a place at the Watergate.
They did?
Yeah, Amir, or
yeah.
whatever, the guy that I was with.
Yes.
Yes, they had. God, I think they had like 10 rooms on one floor.
And on the Watergate.
Yes, at the Watergate.
Okay.
And then my sister even.
Yep.
God, she wouldn't remember this, but my sister, I guess he liked my sister better than me. He
Yep.
took her to Florida.
Right.
For the national boat show.
Okay.
Those fast $1 million formula boats.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yep.
Okay, so he dumped me and took her.
Right. Okay.
So that's why I don't think I was gone for 2 weeks anywhere, because I was a little pissed that he took my sister, but left me.
Yeah. But certainly.
And they were at
Yep.
Fort Lauderdale. The boat show, Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they went to a boat show in Florida, and
Mm-hmm.
by chance, he somehow meets you at the restaurant when you're working there, and you get an invite to go to a party and with your sister.
No, not with my sister. My sister was afterwards.
Afterwards. Okay. All right then. Okay.
Yeah, because I was pissed. I was having dinner with them.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the next day I was supposed to go to Fort Lauderdale, and my sister's like, I'm going to Fort Lauderdale. I was like, you're going with me? She's like, no, you're not going anymore.
Ah.
So I do remember that explicitly, because she came back with all these presents.
Wow.
Like watches and
Yes.
necklaces and stuff.
Yes.
I'm like, oh, I didn't get anything.
Yeah. So how did your sister meet him? Is it sort of like he met you, and then somehow then he met your sister?
I don't know how she got that trip. You know what? I'm gonna have to call her and ask her. Because I do remember she came back and she came to my parents' house and she was showing us all the watches. She had a lot of watches.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know how she got the trip and I didn't.
Yeah.
Tell you the truth?
Yeah.
We I'm trying to think. We all went to bars a lot back then in
Yes.
the evening.
Yep.
And I know I went to Mediterranean dinners with the Husan, whatever his name is, guy.
Okay. Hussein. Hussein. Yeah.
It's like Hussein. It's like one of
Yes.
those names where it's
Yeah.
three
Yeah.
times.
All right then.
I'll have to ask my sister.
Yep. So it's
Oh,
this is the part that stood out to me. If I was a police detective and I was investigating things, we know the most dangerous person that wanted Danny alone had flown straight from Kuwait to meet with Danny, and by chance, Danny's close friend is yourself, is whisked off by the emir to Kuwait so that you're not around in that critical week, so that Danny's alone.
wow. That's just so putting the puzzle into the puzzle piece.
It is, and the fact that, and what you're saying is that he had 10 rooms at the Watergate.
Yes.
That's where.
And I wish I could tell you. I was on the balcony.
Yep.
And I could see the water.
Yes.
So I wasn't facing the street.
Yep.
And I don't know how my sister, I don't recall ever seeing her at the Watergate.
Yep.
But I don't know how you would have met her.
Yep.
So my sister's one I can't figure out, but
Yep.
yeah, because he had his bodyguards with him all the time.
Right. Okay. Yep.
There was like, I don't know, you know how they have those entourages? There was at least like four bodyguards at the time.
Yes.
And I don't know if they had guns or not, but they were
Yes.
just, there was always 4 of them. There wasn't just
Yeah.
10.
Yes.
And that's all I can remember.
Okay.
God, if I could tell you what date was the boat show.
Yeah, that's right. So
I wonder if my sister would remember.
Yep. So
You know what, Peter? Let me call my sister. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
She might remember
Yeah.
at least the boat part
Yeah.
and the guys.
And the timing. So then he went down to Florida for a boat show, which is quite critical. Yes.
Mhm.
And so we've got him based at the Watergate, then going to Florida, and because Danny was also meeting someone that was coming up from Florida.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You know, Wendy, without you realizing, I believe the theory is that they had to get you away so that Danny didn't bring someone with him, because it says here he wanted to introduce you to a friend flying from Kuwait who was going to meet him at the Washington's Posh Four Seasons for drinks. So he did end up taking you with him.
Correct.
That's correct. And this man,
Oh, wow.
the man coming in, and his associates would have known that you were very close to him. So they've organised somehow, and this guy...
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
They've organised that somehow you get to meet this particular important person, and you're whisked away so that Danny's not with you and you're not in the way during the time that he dies.
But yet, I'm supposed to go to Florida, and literally the day that I'm supposed to leave, I get dumped, and he takes my sister.
Yes.
And it's on that day. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. It's like, nope, I'm going.
Yep. And that's on the day.
And I don't know how.
Is that on the following Saturday? Is it? Because that's Danny died on the following. He was due to meet you on the Sunday, before he dies. The week before on the Sunday, he goes to Martinsburg on the Thursday, checks in on the Thursday, meets some people, meets an Arab man on the Friday. You don't know this. And then is found dead Saturday morning, having cut his both wrists.
Which is impossible.
It is. So he was meeting with an Arab man on the Friday, and his purpose was to go down to meet this person that was giving him some documents, and Danny was carrying with him documents. that had implications for very important matters. So on the Sunday, you get whisked off, or that weekend you're whisked off. Then Danny leaves on the Thursday, and then you return from maybe the from the Watergate Hotel, week there, and then on the Saturday when he dies, you're meant to go to Florida, and it sounds like that's when...
But then I'm not.
You're not, and you're dumped and the sister's flying instead.
Correct.
So there's something really strange there, is he meets you at a restaurant...
Kuwait and Florida.
Yes, and more important, he meets you and also meets your sister.
Yeah, I can't figure. I'm going to have to call her. She might be pissy about that still, but...
Okay. You'd have
but
to do,
I will ask her.
Yeah, do it delicately. And the question why I ask also, and now I'll go back to, I interviewed James Ridgway, and he tried to also remember what he could remember at the time. He thought that your mum went with you.
My mom went
to this
on a trip
for this party with the Emir of Kuwait. Maybe
I can't imagine taking my mom.
That's what I thought. Maybe he met your sister.
Maybe
is your sister older? Is she older than you, or
10 months younger?
10 months younger. Okay. Maybe he got mixed up. It wasn't your mother. It was
because
your
I'm trying
sister.
to think. At 26. Let me think. Hold on for a second. I was divorced at 24. So I was living in Fairfax or Falls Church. No, I didn't. I mean, I go out with my mom more now, but back then it would have been my sister.
Yep.
Because my mom still had 2 more young kids growing up.
Right. Is it possible that the Mia knew your sister first, or after you?
No, I would think me first, but maybe I met him downtown in Georgetown.
Okay.
Because I never hung out at Four Seasons. I don't go to hotels.
Yes. Yeah.
But we used to always go down to Georgetown on M Street.
Yeah.
And that's where I remember having a bunch of dinners with him.
Yeah.
Eating the falafel and all that stuff.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You know what? I'm gonna call her tonight, or I'll try to call her shortly.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And see, because I don't. Now that you bring that up, I remember being so upset.
Yes, that he dumped.
But I don't know how.
And she goes.
Yeah,
it
took her.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I do remember being that live-in. I remember being at the house when she came back.
Yep.
She was only gone 3 days.
Yes.
Wasn't very long. 3 days maybe.
Yes.
But I remember sitting in the kitchen and her showing my mom and dad all the presents, and I was sitting there going, "Really?"
Yeah.
So I will call her, and Peter, call me again.
I will.
Or can I now? Can I?
I'll call.
I can email you.
You can
right?
email me anytime.
Perfect. Because the only reason I wanted to get the email is because if I call her and she's like, "Wendy, I have no idea. Yeah, that was so long ago. I've got 5 kids now.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Then I can email you and say, Peter, no luck with her.
That's good. Yes.
But at least I'll say, think about it tonight, and I'll bring up, because she knows about the jewelry.
All right. Now,
I mean, it wasn't like gold and diamonds, but
no, it was
still jewelry.
It was jewelry. So can I say to you that what you're remembering now is probably the most important part for the last chapter of the book. I had suspected this, that they had arranged to have you out of the way. The guy that came from Kuwait was the dangerous person, and the fact that he flew
with the bodyguards.
Yes, he definitely is dangerous, very dangerous. But the guy called Robert Booth Nichols, who flew 4 weeks earlier to meet with Danny, straight from Kuwait, apparently was in London the day that Danny died, so that he had a verification that he wasn't there. But he flew from Kuwait. He knew the Emir of Kuwait, the cousin of Emir of Kuwait. because the man flying back wanted all the oil contracts, because after Saddam Hussein destroyed all the oil fields, this man is who Danny was investigating. And the FBI
Do you remember
agents,
the
Go ahead.
Oh, do you remember his name? I keep saying it's like Allah Hussan. You know, had it like 3 times.
Yes.
Do you remember the exact name?
Yes. In fact,
Am I getting it close?
Yes, you are. I will get your. If you email me, I'll email you back a picture of him. Okay.
Oh, okay. I do remember him, and I remember one of his bodyguards.
Very good, because the important part is one of the witnesses had given a police artist had sat with the lady, one of the ladies at the restaurant, the Whale. What is it called? The
oh yeah, the Whale.
The Whale.
That's in Falls Church.
Yeah, she witnessed Danny meeting with an Arab man, and helped the police do a sketch of him. So if you verify the picture that I send you,
he was short and fat.
Yes, I know he is. If you send me a copy,
okay.
Yes, if you can send me a copy, an email, just say a hello message to me, I will send you back a picture of the cousin to the Emir, and you can verify, because he became the Emir after 10 years later. He actually became the Emir of Kuwait. And
okay, because I knew he wasn't the guy.
No, but he was the cousin at the time.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it turns out he was in America, also giving an address to the United Nations, because George Bush's companies and the other corrupt people within CIA were after the contracts, which were worth billions of dollars, for rebuilding the oil fields.
Wow.
And it turns out...
Oh, my God.
Yes. And it turns out that Danny was investigating all their connections with bank laundering, with CIA, rogue CIA agents. And that guy that came out, who was dangerous, from Kuwait, was there because Danny's story would threaten their contracts if they got exposed at that particular time, with George Bush becoming the new president.
Right, because why else would all those Kuwaiti guys be out there at the Watergate?
Yes, that's correct.
God, I wish I could remember what time.
Isn't that amazing?
I know it was summer.
It was summer?
It was definitely summer.
Yeah.
Because why else would you go to a boat show? Well, Fort Lauderdale,
it would have been summer. It would have been August, if the 10th, it would have been August the 3rd. Was the Saturday, and Sunday was August the 4th. Okay. 1991. So you apparently were away on this trip to Watergate at the time that Danny was due to meet you, the week before, and then he took off on the Thursday. But he was talking to the top FBI agents and Department of Justice officials who knew about the man that was coming from Kuwait to meet with Danny.
Oh my God.
I
wish he had all of that in a little place and was buried somewhere and somebody found it.
Yeah. Look, anything more that you can remember about your time at the Watergate? The dinners that you've had with the cousin of the Emir of Kuwait?
We had 2 dinners in the hotel suite,
yep.
And we went out for 2 of those Mediterranean dinners downtown in D.C.
Yes.
He drank.
Yes.
Let's see. He was kind of rude, but
yep.
I don't know.
That's how they describe.
He was fat.
Yeah, fat.
Yeah, he was fat. He was short, and even, smiling, pretty little dress on and all that, he still could be just a little. And the bodyguards, I remember the one bodyguard that I could tell you what he looks like. He was really an attractive guy.
Yes.
He always kept looking at me like, oh, sorry, like kind of felt bad for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we didn't go anywhere but dinners.
Yes.
And then the Watergate.
Yep.
No public appearances other than dinner with 4 guys, me and him.
Okay. because the artist drawing that the police did is the waitress described him as a sort of heavyweight, rude Arab that was very short with them when sitting there and having a few drinks in the bar with Danny.
That would be, I'd say, 100% correct.
Okay.
But yes, please send me the picture because I do remember what he looked like.
All right. You do me a favor. Send me an email and I'll just say hello. And what I'll do is I'll get you back those pictures. We'll continue if you're willing to. What you've told us, Wendy, is a very important part and will be included. And I'd like to acknowledge and credit you because this is, I think, how we get the police report opened. Okay.
Okay.
It's very, but you don't have to go on the public record by name if you don't want to. But what I'm saying to you is, Wendy, you've been the key. My 18 years of research told me I've got to find you. I have to find you. And it took me over 5 years to find you. And you just supported what I thought was the reason the police were covering it up.
Wow, I still can't figure out how they got that. So,
where
was I? You know what I mean?
You're an innocent party, but because you knew Danny and would have been spending time with Danny, they had to have you out of the way if they were planning to kill Danny.
Right.
And they did it by whisking you off. But the guy that flew from Kuwait to meet with Danny was very, very concerned about what evidence Danny had. It had huge implications for everything that George Bush and the rogue elements in CIA were doing in Kuwait.
Oh, God. Yes, please send me the picture, Peter, and I will call my sister.
Very good. And do it delicately, because what we'd like to find is how did she get invited? And because by chance, what we'd like to know is where did you first meet him, and how did it come? Yeah,
I'd like to remember that.
Yeah, but you did go to the Watergate, and that's critical. Okay, that is definitely critical. Okay. And if you know his name. Yes, I do.
Could you call the Watergate, and do they have records saved that long?
Don't know if they will, but if you can describe what the Watergate looked like and what you remember standing on a balcony out overlooking the water, so we know that, and he had 10 rooms there, so there has to be a record that he stayed at there, and the answer is yes, that can be proven.
Yeah, because I know the bodyguard that was cute stayed in the room next to us.
Yes.
He had the biggest suite, which was like a condo.
Yep.
The Watergate is a huge public place. I mean, Monica Lewinsky stayed there. Remember after the Clinton scandal?
Oh yes.
So it's like that's where all the bad people go.
It is.
Or they're really good, one or the other.
One or the other.
It's either really good or really bad.
Yes.
Oh, but that might be. I mean, just I'd only say that if that could be found, and I'll try and find his name. Like I said, I just remember Hassan.
Yes.
They all sound the same, you know.
I'll get you his name, okay?
Because then it could tell you the timeline.
Yes.
If his name was connected.
In July, he was standing and giving a presentation to the United Nations about Kuwait being invaded by Saddam Hussein.
Oh, then he definitely would be staying at the Watergate. There's nowhere else to stay.
That's correct.
Okay, so you don't even. Okay, because I'm still trying to figure out, like, how the heck did I meet him?
Yeah.
It all just seems a little too. Wow, that worked really nice and neat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But when I say yes, I went out with some fancy rich guy from Kuwait, but he wasn't the king. You're like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, and I was going to go to Florida, but I didn't. But my sister went, yeah. I mean, it all just makes way too much sense.
It does. See,
And I do remember the whale.
the whale. You do remember the whale? Okay.
That was,
Yeah.
yes, it was a great bar and restaurant. We used to always go there.
Yeah, and Danny was there.
Sign of the whale. Oh, my husband, hold on, my husband just told me.
It is. It's
Because
the
he's
sign
from
of the
the
whale. It
sign
is.
of the whale.
It is the sign of the whale. That's correct. And the waitress
Okay.
has given a sketch to the police of the
Okay.
fat Arab man, arrogant and rude.
That was rude.
That was sitting and with Danny for about, or probably an hour, and was really rude to the staff.
Okay.
And that was one of the last people that Danny met.
Wow, my husband just said it is sign of the whale, and there was two places, one downtown and one where I lived, suburbs.
Yes.
Falls Church.
Yep.
Was the waitress at downtown or Falls Church, Virginia?
I'll find out for you, okay? I'll find out for you because she's
Okay.
given a testimony. But Danny met with him, and I'm pretty sure it was on the Friday before he died.
That was at the sign of the whale.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
I remember you said you remembered it was about an animal, and that was the octopus. That's exactly right.
Yes.
Isn't that amazing?
Oh, my God. I had goosebumps. I'm like, and I told my sister, I'm like, oh, my God, I told him it was about an animal.
Yeah.
And it was only one word.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize what I was remembering. And then I'm like, Lee, why do I not remember how I met him? She goes, you introduced me to him because you needed somebody to go to the bank and get money.
Yes.
I'm like, well, why didn't he ask me to do it?
Yes.
So I still don't know why I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But
so
he did.
Yeah. So when you say go to the bank, that was for the cousin of the emir. Was that to do the banking?
Yeah. So for whatever reason, I needed to get somebody. So I got my sister. Makes sense.
Yes.
And they would go to the Deutsche Bank.
Yes.
And I'm like, if he had all that money, why is he going?
Yes.
She goes, well, they needed to wire it to me, as in my sister Lee.
I see. They wanted.
So they wired money to her. She would get the cash.
Yes.
And she goes, we did that a few times. And I said, well, how much? And she's like, well, I don't think we were allowed to go over 10, so we didn't get, like a notice.
Yes. Yep. No.
And then when we left the yacht, and we walked on the yacht. I don't know where we were, but she said we walked on, and there was two new guys, and the one guy grabbed her, like put her on his lap or whatever.
Oh yes.
I started yelling. Then the cousin of the emir, let's just say cousin.
Yeah.
So the cousin comes in and starts telling that guy to let her go, that she's not whatever he's thinking. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And she got upset. I was upset. So we walked off the yacht, and I said, he just let us go. And she goes, I was scared. We had high heels on, and I had thousands of dollars in my purse.
Yes.
I'm like, she goes, because I was always carrying the money. He doesn't carry money.
Yes.
I'm like, well, that's weird. She goes, that's just the way it is.
Yes.
So I go, well, how'd we get home? She goes, I guess we went to the airport and paid for tickets because I had money in my purse.
Yes. Yep.
And I was like, She goes, we had to take our heels off because we were walking.
Yes.
And it was quite a walk.
Yes, I could imagine.
And then she said she was scared to death because just think about this, 18 years ago, how stupid and naive we were to get on a boat with a bunch of foreigners, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
And God knows what could have happened.
Yes.
Especially when you say no.
Yes, and particularly if they drug you, or get you drunk,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I told my sister, I said, are you sure they didn't drug me or something? Because how do I not remember a yacht?
Yeah.
She goes, I don't know, Wendy, but you didn't go to North Carolina.
Yes.
That's where she went to go get the cigarette boat.
Yeah, so he bought
I said, I knew I was pissed about something.
Yeah, so he ended up purchasing a brand new cigarette boat there to go into the race for Florida.
Supposedly, because that's where, in North Carolina, that's where they make the cigarette boat.
Yes.
And she said they went down there to the facility.
Yes.
Now, they were in the boat race, so I'm assuming he bought it.
Yes.
I remember seeing the boat.
Yes. And in the yacht, was the yacht, he had that harbored in Florida?
Yes, Lee said that we did not go out on it. We walked on it, but we didn't go. It did not leave the dock.
Yes. So it was.
And I go, did we sleep there? And she goes, no. She goes, we just walked on, and then that's when we left after the little incident.
Yes, I understand.
She doesn't remember the name of it, but he did get off the boat to come and try and get her, like, don't worry, everything's fine. And she's like, no. and then we just kept walking.
Yes, I understand.
And she said we never talked to them or saw them or nothing again.
Okay, so after that incident, that's when it sort of
Yeah,
ended. So
nothing.
so all up, and it says here that your sister said that you were with them for about a month, about 1 month off and on,
Yeah.
to be able to see them at the Watergate and also down in Florida.
Yes, and
Mm.
well, yeah, I guess the one time that I don't remember that I went with her to Florida.
Yes.
Her North Carolina trip was a day trip. She would not spend the night, so he made sure to bring the plane back.
Yes.
And then she was with me. She said because she had to do the money.
Yep.
And I always drove and just valeted at the Watergate.
Yes.
She said a couple times I went to the Watergate by myself,
Yep.
which is I do remember because I sat at the dinner, the
Yes.
big dining room table.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think, what else did she say? And I said, so how long did all this go on? She's like, about a month. And I go, do you remember me talking about Danny? And she goes, vaguely.
Hmm.
And that's all she could say about that one.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
And I was just like,
So you obviously and you got there that you did go to the Sign of the Whale, so that's something that you did remember, and other clubs in Washington D.C.
Yes, and the Sign of the Whale, there was two. There was one in D.C. and there's one in Falls Church. And my sister said that we used to go to both of them.
Okay.
So it could have been. And I said, did I meet him at a bar? And she's like, Wendy, we were always out of bars.
Yes.
I mean, we were 26.
Yep.
And she goes, we were down in Georgetown, on the water, Sequoia, Tony and Joe's, Sign of the Whale. I doubt that they would go to the Sign of the Whale in Fairfax or Falls Church because that's a 26-mile drive.
Right. So probably Georgetown.
And then
would
she's
be the
like,
one.
yes.
Yeah.
And then I asked her, I said, did we ever go to like Four Seasons? And she goes, no, not really. She goes, you might have gone. I said, I remember going and getting a massage with a girlfriend at the Four Seasons.
Yep.
So other than that, I can't remember. But my sister said she never went to the Four Seasons.
Oh, okay. And in terms of meeting the cousin, when did you first meet the cousin?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know when I met Danny or when I met him.
Right.
But my sister's like, it had to have been at a bar. And then you said, Wendy, I need you. And then you introduced me to him.
Yeah.
So it had to just be a bar.
It would be just a casual meeting,
like
you just happened to be in the same bar at the time.
I would.
Yep.
Yeah, that could be the only thing because other than going downtown to Georgetown to drink, we lived in Northern Virginia in the suburbs.
Yep. Yes. Do you remember going?
And Danny lived where I lived, like suburbs area.
Okay, all right.
I mean, not in the same area,
but close by. Yeah.
15 minutes away.
Yeah. I have a track record of getting up some of the biggest investigations in Parliament in Australia. I get things right. I'm trusted at the highest levels because I can see through the complex layers. But if we can reopen Danny's case, clear his name, and have the files unsealed, and confirm that Danny should have won an award. He was actually an amazing investigator. And I'd like to do this for his son and for his son as well, because he lost his dad, and he's gone through hell. There's no way Danny would let his son down. No way.
No.
All right.
No, I mean he was tenacious, on his work, on his stuff, whatever he does.
Danny is one of the.
So if you're so tenacious that way,
you
can't not be that way in a parent.
Look, my background is in quantum physics, mathematics, and advanced stuff. This is the hardest thing.
No, that just went over my head.
No, but what I'm saying is this stuff that Danny was investigating was so complex, and I look at all his notes, volumes of it. He was amazing. He could keep it all together. I can just keep it together myself because I can see the complexity of it and understand it. But he was good. Without a doubt, he was absolutely good, and he almost exposed it, and that's why I think they killed him. So the good news is the people that were the nasty ones that came in to see him are all dead. Okay?
Okay, good.
Good on you. Thank you
Damn.
very much. And have time to think about that more. I'll get you the picture. Anything more you can remember about the Watergate and anything else that you can recall. What's amazing is how he came into your circle to ensure that you weren't there on that week, because I'm sure Danny wanted to spend time with you, because and wanted you to meet with Robert Booth Nichols. But I don't think Robert Booth Nichols wanted you to witness him. He didn't want to be seen.
Right, and we had just met, so it's not like we've known each other for years.
Yes, that's right. So what I'm saying to you is that this man coming in would have done all his research. Who is Danny? Who's in Danny's life? Who's he dating?
Right.
Who's he seeing? He would have done all his research before he arrived. Okay.
Peter, where did Danny live? I can't remember. I remember the bedroom. I can remember
Fairfax?
the bed is high that you had to jump up.
Yeah.
What was Danny's address?
I think it was Fairfax. And let me.
Okay. Yep.
I'll send that to you. Okay. His address.
Okay, because I worked as a hostess at a restaurant in Fairfax.
Okay. All right.
At PJ Skidoo, so that was another one. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't remember what his house looked like.
Yep.
But I remember his bedroom because you had to jump to get up on the bed. and that's when he handed me the book.
Yeah.
Like, this is my first book. I was like, oh, how cool. And we were having the wine, and he had his gravity boots on. Not on the doorway.
He apparently he had files everywhere, all over the floor, near the air conditioner. He had everything. When Ben Mason and Danny's brother raced straight across, everything was gone. As soon as they found out that he was dead, they drove immediately to Danny's house, and all his files were gone.
Oh, well, that right there. Hello, investigator, FBI.
Yes.
I don't know who dropped the ball. Then that's common sense.
It is. It is. And also, his briefcase was missing from his hotel room with all of his documents that he went down with, and all the documents he has in his car. His son told us he always kept 2 piles of documents on the back seat. People always thought that there were 2 children sitting in the back seat when he drove around. That's how high they were. So the complete house was cleaned out, and also his car. And the briefcase that he took.
Oh, and that's not like him. He wasn't a neat person. He's not anal like I am.
No. He basically all his notes had gone. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And they ruled a suicide.
And they didn't have any security cameras at the hotel? They
should have. They should have also.
I mean, back then we even had security.
Yes, and that's a good point. And waitresses, cleaners at the hotel, remember seeing an olive complexion man,
which would be Kuwait,
coming out of his room.
Oh, there you go.
I know.
Oh.
I think
wow, Peter.
You know that security guard that you described was quite good looking?
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I think if he met the cousin to the Emir, as the profile seems to be short, fat, and very rude and arrogant, then his bodyguards would have been there too.
That would make sense.
Yes.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure I'll send you the pictures, but I'm pretty sure the Emir, cousin of the Emir, passed away too many years ago. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, I'll look forward to it, Peter, and we'll stay in touch no matter what.
Absolutely.
And I want to talk to my sister.
Yeah.
It might take her a few days because until you mention some things, like I would have never told you. Hey, guess what? One time I met this really rich guy from Kuwait. I thought he was a prince, but he wasn't.
Yes.
But still,
Yeah.
I would have never just said that for no reason.
Yeah. And Wendy, if I was the detective, it's the first thing I would have done is interviewed. They had your number. They didn't call you.
You would interview the person he was seeing.
Yes. Don't you agree?
Even for pillow talk.
Yeah.
I remember he said he was working on a book, but I mean, he didn't tell me what kind. I mean, he just wrote another book. He showed me, right?
Yep.
You know, I don't think anything. He's not telling me anything. He's just like, I'm working on a book. I'm like, cool.
Yes.
And he's going somewhere. I'm like, cool.
Yes.
And I don't recall having any other girls around us when we were together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like
No.
a group of friends.
No.
Hmm.
And we
Wow, this
we
is
know.
getting more and more interesting.
I thought so too. It's the fact that your sister gets invited and you get dumped.
Yeah.
So
I still can't figure that one out.
yes. So he's shown an interest in your family because you're entitled to it. You can make an FOI request to find out what files they have on you, because without a doubt they would.
And then you guys could use it, because my
Yes.
memory's not good. At least files will be good.
There's no way known that you were meeting the Prime Minister of Kuwait
Without
Watergate,
anybody else knowing.
without the government knowing, all the way up to the president.
Okay.
They would know.
That just makes me so happy, because then I'll know if I'm not going crazy or not. My sister would not lie to me.
Exactly right. And you can't make you can't make these things up, because the reason being, the fact that you sat on the book, you remembered the room, remembered the car, you remembered all these things. You thought it was an animal, and it was an octopus. These things you didn't know.
And I remember him telling me he was going to travel.
Yes, exactly.
But I thought he was going somewhere else. I didn't think he was going to West Virginia. I thought he was going somewhere more daring. I don't know.
No.
That's why I was trying.
He went to Pennsylvania, and then he went to Martinsburg.
What?
He was.
But I thought his travels were taking him further, like country.
Oh yeah, no. You mentioned in your interview with James Ridway, he says categorically he was planning to go by motorbike to Mexico.
Oh, okay. I knew something was out of the country. See?
Yeah, Mexico was the first place.
The more I talk to you, little things keep coming up.
Good on you. I thought I'd remind you. Mexico by motorbike. And you wanted to go, but he said it was too dangerous, because the Mexico one was dangerous. You know, if he was going down there, it was to do with some matters that we know. Then he was going to go to Paris. He wanted to fly to Paris.
And I probably said yes to that one.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure that you would have said yes to that one. But then he was going to go to Burma, which is the golden triangle for all drugs that were being shipped out.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's when we were talking earlier, Peter, when I said Harrison Ford, the movie.
Yeah.
See, it was a little more, more like what
Adventurous.
you're saying now, which I just couldn't remember.
It's a bit like an archaeologist.
Because I was thinking.
He's going to go to all these countries to look for the evidence and meet people. He was then going to go to Australia.
Because it sounded exciting but dangerous.
Yes, it was.
And it wasn't around here.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't Pennsylvania and West Virginia. So I'm like, why don't I not? But once you mention it, see, I'm like, oh yeah, I knew something like that. But that's Harrison Ford stuff.
Very good. And then he was going to go to Australia. And that's why I'm in this story, is that I know what he was after and why he wanted to do that. And then he was going to go to visit one of the top CIA agents that was in prison in Florida.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. I did not know.
So it was an adventure, and it was important.
And it was different countries. See, I do remember.
But we do know that you were the only person he was dating at that particular time. Do you understand? And the police had your number, but they never called you. That's really strange. They didn't.
Yeah, but you know what? They did. No, because of course, I mean, somebody's dead. Hello. Yeah. Don't you think if I was the girlfriend, I'd want to know?
Yes, I do.
But now let me ask you this. I was thinking about this in my sleep the other night.
Yep.
Okay, you said they embalmed him right away.
They did.
Well, many years later, when people get, I don't know, for whatever reason, they dig a body up.
Yep.
And it's been embalmed, but yet they find whatever they're looking for.
That's correct. There are chemicals that they can do analysis on now, which is far more sophisticated, and they can find traces of some sort of drug that was used and put into his body. That's correct.
Could they do that now with Danny's body?
Yes, they can.
But they don't want to. They don't.
They ruled
Why?
it,
Why
they
wouldn't?
ruled it a suicide categorically, and
So
therefore
only the family could request.
and they closed the file. But it's not as simple as that. They also sealed the file.
And who's they? The
That's
bad policeman.
no. It had to have come from the U.S.
Oh.
government at the top.
Oh. Okay. And now with the Freedom Act that you were just explaining to
Yes,
me, that
that
can
that
that be
allows.
opened by
Yes,
Trey?
yes, and also your file can be opened by yourself. And because what they do is that if they have records that involve you, they have to release it. They might black out certain names or other things in there to protect their identities, but they won't.
Oh yeah, redacted. I'm
Yes,
hearing that on the news down here all the time.
yeah, they will redact it, but only names of people who are still alive. Given that the Prime Minister of Kuwait is now dead, they have no legal reason to redact that if your file shows that you're meeting with him at this certain time.
Oh my God, this could be great. I mean, you could get more information.
We can. I'm agreeing with you.
God, I wish you had found me earlier.
Yeah.
And I had the same phone number forever.
The part that was real strange is that we couldn't find you. We kept looking, and at the same time, we didn't know the identity. There was a couple of Windy Goldens. Do you understand? There was, in the USA.
Was there?
Yeah, there's a couple of you. And so that made it
Oh,
hard for us as well. It took me ages to work out if I could find the right one. But
yeah,
because I had the police
'cause I'm-
record, I was able to find the trace of your numbers that allowed us to find the right one.
God, I'm so glad. First of all, I didn't know how many Wendy Goldens were around, but I'm like Wendy Golden in Virginia because that's where Danny lives.
Yes.
So that would have narrowed it down a little bit.
Yep.
But then I lived in the same condo for 11 years.
I know. But we didn't start looking for you until about 4 years ago.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. And that
Okay,
made it,
so it wasn't 18 years worth.
That's right. For yourself, okay? It's
Okay,
taken us
gotcha.
18 years to go through the complete police records and all the files that Danny held, okay? To go through all
Oh,
that
God,
evidence.
okay.
You're talking about volumes that are huge, and the US government is still not releasing thousands of pages of his reports.
What?
That's the question that that's the question our book is asking. If he committed suicide, why are they refusing to release and sealing the report and the records?
And now, when I ask for my thing, they have to, whether it's sealed or not, give it to me.
Yours is not sealed.
Right?
That's correct.
Okay, only Danny's is sealed.
That's correct.
And Trey, Danny's son,
is able to
cannot ask for it.
Yes, he can.
Because it's sealed.
No, well,
he can.
We're doing two things. One, if it's been ruled by the police and also the U.S. Department of Justice that their full investigations over 5 years involving the Attorney Generals has ruled that it was a suicide, there's no need for it to be sealed. They have to have
correct.
They have to have a court order to seal it. That's the first thing, and we have seen no evidence that there was a court order, which means that they're lying. It's not sealed. They're telling everyone it's sealed, but it hasn't been sealed. So they've been lying all this time, because obviously there's things in there that they're worried about, particularly all the way to the top of the government, right up to the president. But he's dead now. George Bush Sr. is now dead. So it was all to protect.
Correct.
It was to protect George Bush Sr. See, I have a photograph.
Oh my God! But now you got George Bush, the next one, who's still alive.
Yeah, but he isn't part of this. Do you understand? And he's no longer no longer in power. So the key part is that we are holding a picture of George Bush Sr. sitting with your prince. With your prince. He is the highest priority to George Bush while he was president for the reconstruction of Kuwait, and he was under full protection in America while seeing you.
And that's why he was here at the Watergate.
Yes, exactly right.